Let's go ahead and get started. I'm sure we'll have a few more people join us as we get going, but welcome everyone to Africa Fire Mission's weekly virtual trainings. My name's Nancy Moore. I'm the Director of Programs for Africa Fire Mission, and I'm joined today by Nick Higgins and our Fire Safety Advocate, Jose. Nick will be bringing the training today, and we'll let him introduce himself further once we get going. So I just wanted to greet you, remind you that we are recording the training. If you would like to share it with your colleagues after the training, it will be available on YouTube for you within about 24 hours, although we're a little delayed right now with a few of our recordings. So encourage you to keep your microphones muted unless you have questions, and then of course ask. Nick would really love to have your participation today, so feel free as he's instructing to ask questions, to be interactive with us today. The last thing is, of course, the training does not include a certificate of attendance at this time, but we do really encourage you to think about these trainings and encourage your colleagues to participate as a way to further your knowledge in the fire service and to just continue to refresh yourselves in your job. So with that, I will pass it off to Jose, who will lead us out with some words of encouragement.
Thank you so much, Nancy, for having me. And thank you very much, Nick, for joining in. We are so appreciative for you to find time coming through. Sorry, for some few minutes, I'll stay off the video. And then if I get proper lighting, I will show up. So without further ado, I will go to my encouragement of the day. And today is quite interesting because it reads, show some enthusiasm. And I will read. Make full of the gift that God gave you. You can find that in 2 Timothy chapter 1, verse 6. Unless you maintain your enthusiasm, life can wear you down. A job that once challenged you can become monotonous. A relationship that once excited you can grow stale. And a daily walk with God that once inspired you can feel like just going through the motions. The word enthusiasm comes from the Greek word, which means possessed by or inspired by God. But how do you stay inspired? Just as the Israelites gathered fresh manna every morning, you need a daily infusion of God's word and God's spirit. Paul challenged the Christians in Rome. Serve the Lord enthusiastically. You can find that in Romans chapter 12, verse 11. And the believers in Galatia, if someone is eager to do good things, that is all right. That is in Galatians chapter 4, verse 18. So instead of complaining about all the things that you don't like, realize that the presence and power of God lives within you and put a smile on your face and a spring in your step. Remember whose kingdom you are citizens of. That is God's citizenship. Author Israel Sheldon Vannaken says, the best argument for Christianity is Christians, the joy, the certainty, the completeness. But the strongest arguments against Christianity is also Christians, when they are somber, joyless, self-righteous, and narrow and repressive. The Christian life is not meant to be a journey of the grave with the goal of arriving safely in a well-preserved body, but a race to the finish line, used up, totally fulfilled, and loudly proclaiming, wow, what a ride. David tells us God lifted him out of a pit of despair, but his feet on a solid ground and gave him a new song. See Psalms chapter 40, verse 1 to 3. And hasn't he done the same for you? So show some enthusiasm. Let's pray. Dear Heavenly Father, Thank you for giving us your word today. And thank you even for enabling us to gather today to be taught by Nick. And Lord, we thank you for these opportunities that you've given us every Wednesday since last year when the pandemic started. We don't take it for granted. And Lord, these nuggets that we get, even though we had them in school, at the fire school, we are always keeping reminded through and through. And it helps us to keep our enthusiasm high, even as we serve your people. Lord, I ask you that you enable us, even give us a good network connection, and also help Nick, our trainer, take us through the lesson for the 1 hour. I pray this all, trusting and believing in Jesus' name. Amen. Nick, the time now is yours. Please take us through. We are anticipating to see what you have for us.
Okay. Thank you, Jose, and thank you, Nancy, for having me here today. Welcome, everyone. I really appreciate being here to speak to you guys. True honor to be part of this. I want to speak with you guys today is the topic of ground ladders. And the reason I'm talking about this, I'm keeping it, it's a very basic understanding of what the ground ladders are and why we use them, how we use them, and different situations on the fire ground. But before we get into that, a little bit about myself. I'm in the fire service for about 19 years, maybe 20 years this year in September, all in New Jersey. I'm also an instructor for the state of New Jersey, as well as an advocate for the National Fallen Firefighters Foundation, which is how I was able to be honored to present to you guys today. I also have my own website where I write my own trainings, own blogs, articles called the Firehouse Tribune. You can check it out. It's international, so you can see it anywhere in the world. I'm on a couple different board of directors for different fire service corporations that do not-for-profit organizations, as well as speaking about the fire service nationally and internationally. The pictures you see here, that's my engine. That's engine 2, the one I ride on, and that's the inside of our firehouse. It's nothing grand. It's a three apparatus house, 2 engines and a squad. So very small firehouse. We don't have a lot of equipment, but we work with what we have, and we're very appreciative and humbled by what we get to do on a daily basis. So what we're going to talk today about is, like I said, ground ladders. We're going to understand the purpose of them, talk about the different types, and also go into the ladder usage and safety of using ladders. What we're talking about, the purpose of a ladder. And every firefighter, anywhere, no matter what they do, where they do it, using a ladder is to provide their own means of ascending or descending to the upper floors of a room. And this could be for various reasons. It could be for rescue. It could be to get on the roof for rooftop operations, for ventilation of windows, or if you cannot enter the front door and you need to get a hose line in the building, using a ground ladder is another option to handle that situation as well. Hence, fire suppression operations. Types of ground ladders. I have a few pictures here. This is at a training facility, and there's 3 types of ground ladders. The ladder all the way to the left, the smallest one, is a single frame ladder, also known as a roof ladder, due to the little hooks that are on the very top of the ladder. The next ladder is an extension ladder, considered a 2-fly ladder, because it has one set of ladder and another set. And what that's used for is to ascend to higher floors on the fire ground, as well as another ladder, a 3-fly ladder, or 32-foot ladder, which does the same thing. You can extend to higher floors on the fire ground based on the height of the building. And the ladder next to it is called a folding ladder or an attic ladder. A lot of these ladders, we have it on our engine, is to get into very tight places. If you need to get into an attic, a high crawl space, or a very small area inside of a house, or a very small area outside that you need to put a ladder into to descend into. A folding ladder, attic ladder works best. Different components to a ladder. The ladders are made up of a lot of different areas. We'll talk about a few components of the ladder. There's a lot on this page here. But what we have here on a ladder is you have the rungs, the rails, the tip, and the fly. When you go back to this picture, of the 3 ladders on the left side, the rail are the 2 sides of the ladder that you're going to hold. The rungs are what's considered the steps of the ladder. The tip is the very top of the ladder. And the butt, the dogs or the paws, is the feet of the ladder, where it's going to be into the ground. The main components of any ground ladder. What else you want to do with ladders is you want to know the safety. There's many reasons you want to have safety for ground ladders. I put a few out there. The first one you want to make sure is anytime you raise or lower a ground ladder, you have no obstructions. And what I mean by obstructions, trees, any type of power lines, or anything that can get in the way from raising that ladder or lowering that ladder safely. Not just for the people outside, but for the firefighters inside as well. It's not, if there's any obstructions, it could cause the ladder to not be placed properly at the window, to the roof, could be unsafe for the firefighter that's going up or down that ladder, or even a victim that you're taking out of that window from that building through a ladder. Second thing I want to talk about is you want to keep your hands, fingers, feet clear of the fly section. The fly section is if you're using the extension ladder like we were talking about, that moves up and down. You don't want any part of your area, any part of your body where it can get caught between that when you're extending a ladder. You always want to make sure your hands are clear from the rungs of the ladder when the ladder's being raised up or down. And always, every time you're near a ladder, working with a ladder, on a ladder, you always want to have gloves, want to have a helmet, preferably with a face shield or something that's going to cover your eyes, and steel toe boots. The reason you want to have something to cover your face or your eyes, should anything fall from either the roof, if someone's working on top of the ladder, or stuff falling out of the window or off the firefighters working or coming out of that window onto that ladder. Using a ladder. This picture here shows the proper way to carry any ladder, any ground ladder. In this instance, this firefighter is carrying an extension ladder. The reason you know it's an extension ladder is the rope going through the center of that ladder. He's carrying that ladder, and he's carrying it with the foot, the butt, or the dog part of that ladder face forward. The reason you want to carry that ladder with the bottom of it facing forward in front of you is so you could easily put that ladder up against the building. Makes it a lot easier, a lot smoother, and a better transition rather than having to spin the ladder. You always have it in the right position to put that ladder up in an emergency situation. And here's what I was talking about. As you can see, he's taking that same ladder and he's putting that foot into the corner of the ground and the wall of the building. And he's pushing it straight up. Quickest, easiest way to set the ladder up against the building so it's footed, ready to go, and you can make your climb. The next position is you want to have the right angle. What the firefighter is doing in this picture is he's putting his hands on the rungs furthest away from his body at a flat, so his arms are flat. If he feels comfortable, if that's a good angle, he's ensuring that that's safe to climb the ladder at a safe angle. If you don't feel safe doing something like this, you can always put your feet on the very bottom rung and do the same exact method he's doing, putting his arms out. If his arms are fully extended, the ladder is safe to climb. Things I want you guys to think about when we get into our conversation pieces. Just think about, question I'm going to throw out is, what type of ladders do you guys have? Do you have ladders? When do you use ladders? And we're going to talk about that as well, but keep that in mind, and we can answer those questions when we finish up. So after we climb, we set our angle. We want to foot the ladder. Footing the ladder is this right here. This is what it'll look like when it's footed. Now, I have different variations of footing here. The reason I have different variations of footing is because not everywhere you go, as you guys know, as we all know, not all ground is perfect. Not all ground is completely flat. Sometimes you have to put a ladder on grass, dirt, mud, whatever the situation may be, and you're not going to be able to get a nice level field to put that ladder on. So you have options. If you look at the left photo, where I have a bunch of tools around that, that's just for show purposes. The ladder's footed perfectly up against the building with nothing helping it. No assistance, perfectly footed on flat ground. In the second photo on the right, what we did, this is my firehouse. What we did was we had to use what we have here is called a wedge. These wedges in black with that little yellow rope. It's normally used for accidents, car accidents. We took that same piece, and it looks like a triangle, and we stuck it underneath the ladder, pretending that the ground was off balance and we needed a nice flat level to put that ladder. So we took something we had, and you could take anything. We have Halligan, as you see, an axe, any type of tool, even a piece of hose, you could stick under there to level out the ladder, the footing of the ladder. Think about that in other aspects. A table. Go to restaurants, go out in public places. The tables sometimes are off balance. You look underneath the table, they might have a piece of cardboard, a piece of something under one of the legs of the table to balance that table out. This is the same concept, except we're just using stuff that's on our apparatus to do the same job. But that's what we do if you ever have to come across something, such as an off-balance ground. So think about that. Think about areas you might have where you're using a ladder, and you have an area where the ladder is off balance. The ground is off balance, and you need to balance it out. Think about what you have, first of all, maybe in your pockets, in your fire gear, and also think about what you have on the apparatus that you show up with that can help assist in these situations. Ladder usage. We talked about different ways you're going to use the ladder. Well, ventilation is one. Ventilation is what? It's removing smoke, fire, helping vent the fire from the structure. In this situation, anytime you use a ladder for ventilation purposes, you always want to make sure you are to the side of the window. But you also want to make sure, in that same respect, going into safety as far as usage. The usage is you're going to use it for ventilation, and you're going to be to the side of the window that you are going to ventilate. But you also want to make sure of the wind direction and the direction of the smoke and fire. Under any circumstances, ever, do you want to be venting a window with the fire and smoke coming at you? You want to try to do your best to make sure that the fire and smoke is blowing the opposite way of your ladder. A lot of reason for that. Safety of the firefighters. Safety of the ladder. You don't want any fire smoke to start impinging on that ladder and possibly damaging that ladder or damaging that firefighter, injuring a firefighter who's on top of that ladder, either having him to fall, pass out, due to be overcome by smoke and fire. You don't want that to happen. So you always want to make sure, check the wind direction, which way the wind's blowing when you're setting up those ladders for ventilation purposes. But we know sometimes that might not be the case. You might have to. So you want to try to pick the best side of the window that you could based on wind direction. If it's not working to your advantage, just do your best and figure out which side is at least blowing smoke and fire towards. Rescue. This is the main priority. The number one reason trucks, engines, and rescues all have ladders on their apparatus is for rescue purposes. Rescue is the number one reason victim and firefighter rescue and survival is all around ladders. That's why we have them. Every piece of apparatus shows up with firefighters to a scene, all carry a complement, as they say, of ground ladders for this main purpose. Ventilation we just spoke about is the second purpose of a ground ladder. Rescue is the number one reason. And this one I'm gonna go in a little bit more with because of the purpose and primary reasons of this ladder. If you notice in ventilation, the ladder was put to the side of the window and up near the window, pretty much in the middle of that window. If you look here, he's higher up. This picture, the ladder is under the window. Anytime you do a rescue situation, set the ladder up. All ladders go for rescue purposes underneath the window sill. This is for firefighters and victims to be able to be removed or exit, depending on how they're being taken. If they're exiting their own, they're being rescued out to remove themselves from the building. The question I'm going to pose to you here is, when you guys go to any type of fire where there is immediate danger to life and health, firm structure fires of any sort, do you put ground ladders around the building? The reason I ask that is what we do here in my department, in New Jersey, in the United States, is anytime we have a confirmed fire, it doesn't matter how many windows there are. Every window gets a ladder. Most notable, any floor above the first, where they can just climb out. Every floor, every window gets a ladder. And the reason is rescue, firefighter, survival purposes. As we know, going into a fire is a dangerous, very dangerous situation. And it's not always easy to go from the second floor or third floor back down to that door you came in. So by understanding where windows are and having the ladder set up outside of that building by other crews while you're in there putting the fire out, searching for fire, searching for victims, if you for any reason have to come out of that building, injury, disorientation, mayday, any type of emergency situation, you should have you can go right to a window, go right down that ladder. That is the purpose of it. The purpose for a quick egress from that structure. So think about that. Think about the question I'm posing is, do you put ground ladders up at your structure fires? And why? And if you don't, why not? Think about that. We'll talk about that a little bit. But that's something I wanted to pose to you guys is be sure that when you do rescue, anytime you show up to any structure fire, the building has ladders around it. Almost make it look like every window has a staircase. Doesn't matter. And if you don't have enough ladders, that's okay. But as long as you could show each side of the building has at least one ladder on each side, that's okay too. But just know that there should be ladders around the entire building. And one of the last things we're going to talk about the usage of a ladder is rooftop operations. Rooftop operations are done for numerous reasons. It could be for fire suppression. There might be a rooftop fire. But have to go up there and put the fire out. You could bring the hose straight up the ladder and onto the roof. Another reason you can do rooftop operations is maybe to cut a hole in the roof for ventilation purposes. I know we said ventilation before. We were talking about ventilation of a window or something on the sides of the building. Rooftop operations also consider ventilation as one of the tactics on the roof. Another one you could be going up there for, you could be searching for fire. Fire could be in the roof, and you need to start searching for it to help out the engine company and start relieving them from any type of heavy heat, smoke, and fire that they're in. And you could help do so by rooftop operations by use of a ground ladder. Another instance, this is another type of footing you want to do. Anytime you go to any roof, going on any roof, pitched roofs like the one we see, or flat roofs, you always want to ensure that these rungs, the little steps, as they say, you have at least 3 to 5 of them, no more than 5, above the bottom of the roof line. The reason you do that is for safe operation and for safe access to and from the roof and to the ladder. How does that work? Bring it up, ensure it's up there. When you climb the ladder, what you want to do is you always want to have points of contact. Points of contact are how many parts of your body still connected to that ladder. So anytime you're on a ladder, but especially coming on or off a ladder, especially roof, get up to the ladder, both hands, both feet. That's considered 4 points of contact, your hands and your feet. You always want to ensure that there are still 2 points of contact as you're coming off that ladder. First point of contact you're going to move is your foot comes off the ladder onto the roof, still while maintaining your hands on that ladder. Under no circumstances, take your hands off of the ladder at any time while coming on or coming off a ladder onto a roof. I know it was short. I kept it short. I kept it brief. I want to recap real fast before we get into our conversation. I kept it very brief to understand the basics of a ladder. But before we get into that, I just want you to remember a couple things. Anytime you're working on the ladder, ensure there are no obstructions. There's nothing blocking you from raising it, lowering it, climbing it, getting onto it from a roof or coming out of a window. Second thing I want you to remember is ensure you are wearing the proper safety equipment when operating on a ladder or at the bottom of a ladder. Anytime somebody goes up or down a ladder, ensure there's one person at the bottom of the ladder holding that ladder in place. Regardless if it's in the foot in the ground, should be somebody holding that ladder in place at all times. Face shield, helmet, and gloves, and boots to ensure anything falls down, everybody's safe. Also remember, the primary job of a ground ladder is to keep you safe and to help with victim removal. The number one priority, any fire scene, anywhere, at any time, is the safety of the firefighters first. Ensure that by ensuring ladders always around the structure on all 4 sides of that structure at all times during a fire operation. That will keep everybody safe and ensure firefighters inside have a quick exit from that building at any time for any reason at all. So with that, I want to leave some time to talk. I'd rather do the talking, rather go and get into a nice conversation based on what I presented. So first, I want to thank you. Thank you again for listening to this very, very brief discussion on ladders. And if you guys ever need anything from me, my information's on here. You can reach out to me at any time. All right. So, what do you guys got to, how do you guys handle ground ladders?
Members, the floor is open, and you can give your comments and feedback, and also as just Nick has said, has asked, how do we handle ground ladders when we are on the fire ground? Anybody can jump in and answer. Yeah, I think that will be a good idea.
Let's do that. Let's have you answer that question in breakout groups real quick. And Nick, I'll go ahead and put you in a breakout as well to join that conversation. If that's okay.
Sounds good.
Ask a question, or we are just going to the...
Go ahead.
Do it.
All right. How are you first, everyone?
Very well, thank you, sir.
Very good.
Yeah, just seeing this, the last three slides, the way you put the ladder just close to the window. And I hope that one is only the time when we want to do a rescue. But sometimes, we have a fire maybe on the first floor or the second floor, and we want to put a ladder so that the firefighter can go with a line or a hose. So where will we position our ladder? Is it just behind the window, or we have another kind of putting?
You can do
the ladder
like we talked, like the rescue situation. You can do the same situation. You can go right under the window. If you feel more comfortable going off to the side, like ventilation, you can do that as well. Whichever is easier for the firefighter doing that job. If they feel more comfortable going in through the side, they can do that. If you want to put it under, you can do that as well. But it's probably safer to go under the window like a rescue, so the hose goes straight up and in over the windowsill, and it'll just drop in with gravity will take it.
But in case of fire, if you go just direct the position of the ladder where you've put it, sometimes there's a flash out. So when you're just maybe trying to break, or you're just near the window, then that's the last flash over, which will not good for firefighters who go direct near the window.
Say it again.
That's always my concern.
Say it again a little bit. It just kind of broke up for a second.
Just an overview. Like I say, when you put a ladder, and while maybe on that floor there's fire, not for rescue, just fire, well alight. We are fearing to put ladder just, down to the window because of the flash over of the fire. So it's either you just take your ladder just closer to the window, but not direct to the window. Just was my concern.
Okay. Yeah, that could work too, because like you said, the flash over, and you want to protect yourself. So that'll give you good protection. Should it flash, you still have a little bit of protection to protect yourself from that. So yeah.
Yep.
You're correct. Thank you.
Hoping there were some great conversations. Nick, I'll let you guide them through some conversation follow-up.
Yeah.
So what do you guys think? I was speaking in the breakout session about how sometimes it's hard to use ground ladders because of the type of constructions you have there with the aluminum roofs, or how the buildings are made based on spacing and everything else. So I understand that there is a little bit of a struggle, a little bit of a challenge with using ladders. But always try, if you have to use them, try to find ways that you can use them, and try to keep in mind that you want to make sure they're there for rescue purposes, to keep you guys safe in any situation. If you guys are using a lot of buildings, from what I'm hearing, has a lot of aluminum, steel, brick, and concrete, they're going to be very hot. So understand that they're going to be, when you're in, it's going to be really hot. And to have that that egress around that building can definitely help you guys for any situations you guys are in, and help you guys get out. So, you know, just keep in mind on different ways you can use ground ladders, the different techniques, what they're used for, different operations, and see if you can implement them. If you're not already, implement them into your tactics, into how you're fighting fires. And remember, they're there to keep you safe. That is that main priority of why they're there, is to keep you safe at all times, because that's what you guys need to be. You guys need to be safe, and that is a great tool to have. So that's all I have, and I really appreciate talking to you guys and going through this. So if you guys have anything you want to ask me right now, or just comments you want to send out, feel free.
Maybe I would really want to hear what the groups had they discussed. Maybe 1 or 2 points. Maybe from group 1, you had a group leader. What did you discuss? Maybe 1 or 2 points. Group 1.
Group 1 was James, Dorcas, Cyrus, Athman, Shana.
Mm-hmm.
Anything from your group?
All right, in group 1, we tried to discuss with Shana, and Sarah's come in and get out. We didn't even try to hear from him, but we just tried to see whether in between the two countries, if the system of ground ladder we are using the same. Okay, in fact, in Kenya, if the platoon which responds to that call, maybe if there's a call and then we want to use a ground ladder, it depends with the manpower, the crew. If the crew are more, then we use 2 guys to hold the ladder, and then 1 officer will just claim the ladder. But if the crew is sort of like a minimal, only 2 officers can operate in that ground ladder. 1 will just hold the ladder, and then another 1 will climb the ladder. That's our take.
Okay. Thank you so much, sir. Group number 2.
Group 2 was Errol. Nicholas has already shared some from that group. Peter. Errol or Peter, anything to add?
Yeah.
From group 2, yeah.
Oh, hi everyone.
Hi, Errol.
Nicholas, good evening. Nicholas has said most of the things, and just to add a few, you also have to check the ground surface. Okay, in some situations or instances, you check how the ground looks like, so that when you place your ladder or you pitch your ladder, you don't make the ladder to flip or slip or trip. And also there was something that Nicholas mentioned in our group, which was a new thing that I've learned. When the ground is uneven or the ground is irregular, you use a smaller type of a hose to help to lock the ladder down, or maybe to stabilize the ground ladder as you position it upwards. Okay. Unless anything else I've forgotten, Nicholas, you can add.
You covered it, man. That was it.
Thank you.
Good student, Errol.
Thank you.
Group number 3.
So Francis, Jose, Samuel, and Samuel.
All righty. Samuel, you are the group leader in our group. Go ahead, sir. Samuel Chabuntu, your microphone. Check your microphone, sir. Yeah. Yeah. Go ahead now.
Yes, yeah. Now I'm sure that you are catching me.
Yeah.
Okay. Yes. In our groups, what has been said is only what someone come from saying to make sure on where we are putting our leg, not on a slippery land or where it can be trapped, or a land where it is a little bend or in a slope, not there. And about to take care about the maintenance. And when mounting the ladder, it depends upon the number of the crew. When there are 2-3 people, if they are strong enough, they can hold it and someone going up or down. That's what has been recorded from our group.
Thank you. Thank you, Samuel. Truly appreciate. Group number 4.
We just had 3 groups.
Oh, you had 3 groups. Okay.
Yes.
Wow, today's topics were really, was really heavy and quite good. Thank you so much, Nick. It was brief, but quite we've learned a lot. Especially for me, my takeaway would be putting the smaller horse reel to hold on to the ladder, you know, to stabilize it. Yeah, that one is something that I need to explore more as I move forward, even in the fire ground. Yeah.
Right. Well, thank you, Nicholas. We really appreciate your taking the time today and bringing some refresher and new information forward for our trainees. Yes, thanks so much. So as everyone knows, I posted the link for the training evaluation for today. Also, we are still collecting your stories. And when I say stories, some of you have given me one line. Kenyan stories are longer than one line. I would love a story from you about your experience as a firefighter. So think about telling your story to us. And then finally, most of you, I think, are on our networking group, but we'd love to have you join us there. And all the training materials will be provided for you on our website. So also feel free to link to Nicholas's website. I think I posted the link here for you for that. And you can also, that will be posted on our networking group as well, if you'd like to access that. So thanks for training, everyone. I'm going to pass it over to Jose for tea time. And Nick, you're welcome to stay if you would like to, or I know you have some other things you need to get to today. Yeah.
Yes, I need to get to that funeral, but thank you, everyone. I left my email in the chat. If anybody ever wants to reach out, keep in touch, talk, whatever, anything, I'm open to that as well. So it's always good to reach out, hear from you guys, and see how you guys are doing.
All right.
So,
thank you.
Thank you, guys.
Time for us.
Thank you.
Thank you.